Miazga playing alongside him. First time those two have played together, as Taylor was telling you earlier. And Zardes with a good ball. Pulisic, he's onside here. He can finish, and he does finish. It's Pulisic for the USA. What a start. That's the first time he's scored.
Perfect start for the U.S. Christian Pulisic getting on the board from that assist from Gyasi Zardes. Welcome to the AT&T MLS studios. Andrew Wiebe, Charlie Davies, Calen Carr, Bobby Warshaw. The perfect start did not last long, guys. Chile got a goal back, a 1-1 draw at BBVA Compass in Houston. The winning streak to start the Berhalter era is over. That's okay. It's a decent result here, and we're going to go to the performance right now. First, though, the highlights. That's what you want to see. Here's how it went down. 1-1. We just saw the goal from Christian Pulisic, but it's this moment from Gyasi Zardes. That's the moment, Charlie.
I did not know he had the ability to turn and play such a lovely ball. When you see that, you're like, you know what? Gyasi is showing immense improvement as a number 9 striker, and that's what you love to see.
Because we spent all this time talking about who should play attacking mid. We forgot we had Gyasi Zardes on the team.
Exactly.
Drop back, play the balls
Oh,
behind.
Olivier Giroud to that, by the way.
Easy
Culture
peasy.
with the touch.
Mm-hmm.
And these are some moments we saw where Christian Pulisic got out in the open field. We saw what we wanted to see from him, Calen. Just a little bit sloppy, and then the injury just a couple days after Weston McKennie. This is not what anyone wants to see, especially Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah, he's just getting back into the team in Borussia Dortmund, so we've sent 2 guys back to Germany injured, and that was a tough one because he looked great. You know, he found himself on the right-hand side, he found himself on the left-hand side, and showed his pace in behind.
Oh, a dime from Michael Bradley, though, a couple seconds ago.
Yeah, that was.
And here's Zardes with that little hold-up play. These are the opportunities. Leggett wanted something there. He came on as an injury, and then just over the top. But those are moments where you start to say to yourself, like you said, Charlie, Gyasi, he fits the system. He understands what's being asked for him. He's direct. Sometimes the final touch isn't there, but there is some worthwhile traits to him right now. All right, let's get right into Christian Pulisic and the injury, though. That's what a lot of people are going to be talking about here. What did you see, Bobby, from him in that 10 spot? Was it different? Was it improved?
It was a very different role than he played against Ecuador a few days ago because the game was very different. Andrew, my main takeaway here is that we just might see 2 pretty separate squads and mindsets from Greg Berhalter depending on the game. Ecuador sits deep. The United States was a possession team. Christian Pulisic was more of a maestro number 10 or a creative number 10 in between the lines. All of a sudden, the opponent changes. Chile's a little bit better. They put some more pressure on the U.S. Christian Pulisic turns from a creative number 10 to a transition number 10, much the way Miguel Almirón did the job for Atlanta United. So, Andrew, in that different role, I thought he was spectacular for the first 25.
And it was the way that Chile played because they were creating pressure. They opened up more space on the break and in behind. Gyasi Zardes did a great job in hold-up play that allowed Christian to be able to take some chances and get forward into the attack. But he had a pretty free role. There was times he was on the left-hand side, that one-on-one where he was able to just blow by the guy. Then he was able to get in behind. He floated out to the right. I think that's more of the role we're going to get to see from Christian Pulisic underneath that number 9 striker.
He was feeling around that knee, Charlie. Feeling around the quad. We're not going to play doctor here. We don't know what that is. There's a long time before that next U.S. game, but he looked disappointed. How did Christian Pulisic coming off the field change what you were able to take away from this match?
Well, you wanted to see a full sample size against Chile and how they pressed. What I loved about Christian's performance tonight was his ability to find the spaces. He understood, okay, if I float out here, I'm going to have to either pull someone way out of position or they're going to have to leave me unmarked. And 9 times out of 10, they left him unmarked. And he was able to get on the ball, get some touches, get the confidence going, and we're seeing him adjust to the role, and that's great. Now, with this injury, it's frustrating because on the broadcast, Taylor talked about it, he's just getting back with Dortmund. You feel like he's making those necessary strides to get that playing time to continue his development. And now, again, this injury is going to set him back. Other guys are going to get their chance. When guys get their chance, they usually take it in Europe. So, again, we are going to have to see him wait and hopefully get healthy sooner than later.
And as far as interpreting how do we take away this game or how do we digest this game, I think it makes this result a lot more positive because we're going against a top Chile team that was in it to the end. I mean, really giving everything. You saw Vidal at the end showing that emotion, trying to get a result there. But when you think about the U.S. team, we had this challenge which was in front of us, but we didn't have Weston McKennie out injured. We didn't have Tyler Adams, and we lost Christian Pulisic 30 minutes into the match. And still we're able to find some opportunities, play well in the second half as well. So I took away some immense positives, knowing basically we didn't have our 3 top players.
And some people will say, well, Mexico beat them 3-1. This isn't a good result. No, this is a very respectable result. This is a team that's 13th in the world. They had world-class players like Arturo Vidal in the midfield pressing guys. You see him how comfortable he is on the ball. Chile had 58% possession against Mexico. And this is a Mexican team that is known for keeping the ball and being comfortable on the ball. So this Chile team is very good. I think they were unlucky in that game against Mexico, but again, Christian came out injured. It's a lot of people learning their roles on the field. I really like this result. And Greg's unbeaten still. That's the important thing. This U.S. team's unbeaten. We should be very optimistic and positive moving forward.
Yeah, guys, I want to parse what you said a little bit about the positive performance, because I'm with you. It felt like a very positive takeaway all around. But I want to point out that, yeah, there were some times building out of the back. There were some times in possession when it's, why weren't we a little more comfortable on the ball? Why weren't the players sharper? Why couldn't they connect the passes? Parse that out. That's one part of the game. A few of the other parts of the game where it's, the U.S. team is struggling in this moment. The U.S. team is getting outplayed in this moment. But how do you survive? How do you take that shift in the game, whether it's 5, 10, 15 minutes, get tighter, get compact, be able to stay standing, so then you can get your feet again and take the game to them? And it felt like that's what the U.S. did so well. There were moments when Chile was a better team, but the U.S. found a way to survive so that 10 minutes later they could get back on the front foot and play. And from my takeaway right now, that is just as important as anything they could have done in possession or on the ball.
Didn't have the cutting edge at times. We saw some of those opportunities for the U.S. They were there. A long touch, maybe a turn that didn't quite take you to the right spot, weren't able to get the goals, a 1-1 draw in this game. But I want to go back to what you said, Bobby, about these two different systems. And so much of what has been discussed with Greg Berhalter and the U.S. national team so far has been about system and the dogmatism of possession and pretty soccer and building. And now we have the wrinkle with the right back. And we didn't really see that with DeAndre Yedlin. You said you think there are two different sides. I thought he would be more dogmatic. I'm encouraged by the fact that he's come out and really shown in this match that one size doesn't fit all, and I'm ready to switch. And I haven't been just preparing this one wrinkle. There's more in the bag from me.
I said before the game I didn't expect them to go and play the same way they did because of the opponent. Playing this inverted right back against Chile is asking for trouble. And I think against some of the better teams, I still have big questions about how that will work against the better teams. Now in CONCACAF, I think we can expect to play that. And even against a team like Mexico, I think there are opportunities where we could see that type of formation work. But against some of the top teams, I think that's going to be tough because of the demands in possession that it places on your team to keep the ball. I thought there were times today where they tried to play out of the back almost to a fault. Didn't have the same personnel that were able to kind of find that pass out. Yeah, Horvath looked a little bit uncomfortable at times, and Tim Ream got caught in possession as well, again, for the second time in a row for the U.S. men's national team. So I think some of that being dogmatic did still stick through as far as trying to play out of the back, and at times it almost caught the U.S. because Chile was right there waiting to pounce.
But what a difference it made when Greg Berhalter inserted Trapp next to Bradley, and the comfort level, and the ability to pivot and basically take control of the midfield. And you saw them get more options. They were on the ball more possession, and then they felt comfortable. So he was able to realize, okay, how can I offset this Chile team and take back the midfield? And that was inserting Trapp next to Bradley, and the chemistry worked between the two. I was really fascinated with how that
smart players. I thought Bradley was fantastic too. When we look at his role with the national team and over the last couple of months, he has been a big step forward. And that one pass he had in behind, where it was able to sort of pick his head up, look across the pitch, and he saw Corey Baird making that run below in behind. That's a pass I'm not sure a lot of guys on the U.S. system are playing right now. And against an opponent that's pressing, that's one that can really open you up.
Well, Andrew, answer your question about the system. I thought the system, they actually did play with the inverted right back at times tonight. DeAndre Yedlin would tuck in when they had the chance. They just weren't on the ball in the attacking end. And to me, that's a very important distinction because everything about the way they played tonight was the same as the way they played in the first three games, but in different phases. The defensive phase, the attacking phase, the transition phases. It was all the same. They just did most of the defensive phase today. So, Andrew, when I talk about them having two different types of ways to play, it's not actually two fully different systems. It's different personnel that fit the phase of the game they were playing mostly in. So maybe that means DeAndre Yedlin at right back, Tyler Adams in the middle, and then that reverses somehow in a different type of game.
And the two goals that came over the last two matches were from direct play. So as much as you want to talk about the system and building up, you still have to be able to seize the moment and make a play when it appears. And I think both goals, Josie in the first one, a quick turnover, find the first pass into the striker, and this one was just a clearance from the goalkeeper. Josie does a fantastic job to be able to find Christian in behind.
All right, let's talk about the camp in general, because the matchups, the performances, it's all in some of the parts. It's all moving toward one thing right now, and that is the Gold Cup, and after that, World Cup qualifying in the Nations League. Who are the winners from this camp? Who are the guys that you look at and say, you know what, he gained ground?
For me, it's got to be Tyler Adams. I think people were unsure of, can he play this right back position? We all wanted to know. I think we all understood that Greg Berhalter had this in his mind, that Tyler Adams was going to be this guy. Well, he came in and he delivered. He showed it's no problem. I might still be learning this position, but I can do it and I can handle it and it's going to work. So for me, one game, I'm out. I got it. I'm good to go. I'll see you for Gold Cup. That for me, that was the major, important issue that we were able to find out.
Still stays healthy for those guys in Germany. That's a pretty big deal given McKinney and Pulisic. It took him about 20 minutes, though, Adams, in that first game against Ecuador to kind of understand where he fit in, how to rotate in and out. Now that he is, we think, ensconced in that spot, I wonder, Bobby, how it might work with the two. Like when you say he's going to go into central midfield, what's that role look like?
I do think because they had the intention. It was the same job that the right back had to play today. As I said, they just didn't get into those moments as often. Well, if you're not going to get into those moments as often, then there's no reason to play Tyler Adams in that role. If you feel the other team is going to have, 65% of the ball, which is what Chile had tonight, then put Tyler Adams back in the middle. Let him be the destructive player, moving side to side, blocking lanes, and then getting you into transitions. Charlie, I agree. He was very good in that first game, but I actually think he probably would have played center mid today because that's his skill set fits this type of game in the middle.
When I watched the halftime piece with Taylor going through the tactics with Berhalter, I know,
God.
Bobby over here was having major FOMO.
He's just at the board, just
He's
like
just by
watching,
himself.
imitating. Yes, here, go there.
He's like, no one talk.
Seriously though, he was like quiet. But the part that stood out to me was Tyler was in a much more advanced role. He was in the box hoping to get a goal. But what the play broke down was actually where you needed him as sort of a safety net. And I think that's still such a positive, unique part of his game is that he can put out fires to where that would have been a quick highlight with Tyler in that position because I don't think Will Trapp is able to get that ball. I don't know if Michael Bradley can still be counted on all the time to get that ball. He has such a unique skill set to be able to put out that fire, which is why I think that middle spot is still a place against the top teams to provide that shield, especially on the counter.
So we'll see how he does with RB Leipzig. And then, of course, you have those friendlies before the Gold Cup, and then it's all about Copa Oro. Who's your winner, Calen?
Josie Zardes. I think he's been much maligned. U.S. men's national team fans don't necessarily get excited to see Josie in the starting lineup. But in this system, I think he really has a role to play going forward. He looked, he got the goal in the first game, that was fine. But tonight was actually different for me. He was able to get this first ball. This is a fantastic first touch here. Shows he's feeling confident. And he has such a good relationship with Berhalter. Certain managers are able to get the best out of players, especially strikers. Charlie, you would be able to know that as well.
Amen.
And just having that confidence to be able to make a play like that you wouldn't otherwise. He was alert. He had that other chance where that's just something where you're being optimistic because things are going your way. That ball is going into Leggett. It bounces around. If you're in a good moment in your career and in your mind, you're going to be thinking that ball might squirt out and go forward. That's the psychology and confidence that I'm seeing Josie.
Looked like a ballerina on that touch, by the way. The balance, the vision, brought it around, turns, the one touch, Pulisic goal. That's what we want to see from Josie Zardes and the U.S. national team. Your winner, Bobby?
Well, Will Trapp. You liked him over these two games or you didn't?
I did, yeah.
I did too.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a little bit worried that he's not quite good enough to play against the Chiles or the Germanys in that spot and get on the half turn and pressure. But over these two games, my confidence in him re-rose tremendously. There is a concern when Dave Serkin was the head coach that Will Trapp was a very good MLS player, but not quite international caliber. These, 90 minutes he played, 60 in the first one, 30 today, thought he was fantastic. And same for Michael Bradley. His 90 minutes today. The worry with Michael is that there's still 5 or 6 minute stretches when he just looks, I don't know the right word, tired or lethargic, right? But there's 85 minutes today when I thought he was maybe the best player for the U.S.
That's nice to see from the 6. I did not see Aaron Long in this game, and I noticed that in some ways. And you saw on that same video component with Greg Berhalter, that patience, that pace, that ability to read the game when you are in that possession system. I thought from these two games, Aaron Long was a clear winner as well. Continued to establish himself with the U.S. national team as a guy who can be counted on. Let's go to the tweets, see what you have out there, and I think we're going to hit the striker side because that's always what people want to talk about. Phil out there, what's up, Phil? He says 1 through 5, U.S. striker depth chart. I'm going to start us at 1. I think it's a no-brainer. He's not in this camp. He's coming back from injury. He's Jozy Altidore. He is the most talented, well-rounded center forward that we have in the pool. Where do you start after that? Who's 2 right now?
Jozy. I think this performance took him a step forward to say, hey, yeah, okay, Jozy's not here, but I can only compete against the guys that are here. And if you want to step in front of me for that number 2 spot, you're going to have to come take it. That's what I was looking for in this camp, is somebody to step forward and say, I can do this. I want this spot to be mine.
And that's a problem with this position. We're not seeing established strikers playing game in, game out every weekend and scoring goals, whether it's in MLS or in Europe. So, in essence, you have 3, 4, 5, Bobby Wood, Sargent, Jordan Morris, in no particular order. That's what you have left. So whoever, one of those guys can step up. Jordan Morris is doing it, but he's on the wing. Can that translate to when he gets a chance tonight? We didn't get an opportunity tonight, but we need to see more strikers banging in goals on the weekend and getting consistent playing time so we can have the depth chart.
Am I reading between the lines too much when I say that Christian Ramirez is not in that 5 because he didn't get an opportunity this camp with Berhalter? Was it just the simple fact that Zardes won the job, has the faith of Berhalter from the Crew days, maybe fits the profile more? I mean, when somebody doesn't get playing time, what does that mean to you?
We don't know what's happening day to day in training. So could he have dropped off in training and that's a result? Maybe he's not confident. Maybe he's not. Maybe he picked up a little nagging injury. There's a number of factors.
I just think Jozy just looked that good that you don't want to take him off. Your striker's going, feeling the way he was, you just ride him. I still think Christian has a role to play, especially he'd be a guy I'd look to bring in the last 10 minutes of the game. He's able to find his way in the box. But it speaks to a little bit of the lack of depth at that position right now. I think the number 9 position and the left back position are still clearly the 2 spots where I have the most question marks in the U.S. pool.
Back to the tweets here. Asking about system, because that's a lot of what happens right now in these early building block days with Greg Berhalter as we learn what's going down. Thane Griffin, what's up, man? Tactical shape in the second half. Does it make Arriola an even more likely starter with his ability to play wingback? Bobby, he's so versatile.
I think it makes Arriola more likely to make a roster because versatility matters. You can only take 18 players, 23 players to a tournament. You want guys who can play on the wing, at wingback, maybe in the middle in a pinch. So, Andrew, I'm not sure it makes him more likely to be a starter at that wingback, especially on the right side. There's a fair number of options at right wingback, but it makes him more likely to just get into the 23 for a tournament.
All right, here's this one's from @Andrew_Wiebe, who's sitting right here. I did not tweet it in, but I want to know as we prepare to get out of here. I see you guys drinking coffee. Yes, we're rolling along, trying to stay with you.
Late.
We have a long time until the next international break. It is early June. It's before the Gold Cup. As we wait for that moment, Charlie, you mentioned more strikers scoring goals. What do you want to see from this pool? What has to happen? What has to develop? Who has to get on the field? What are the little things that once we get to that point, you're like, okay, this is a good sign for what's to come?
You have 2 months. If you are aspiring to be on this national team, to be a part of the Gold Cup, you have 2 months to make a difference. And what that means is getting consistent playing time and delivering. As a striker, you need to be scoring goals. So can you get on a hot streak leading into Gold Cup? That's what's on the mind of every striker, especially in MLS. If I can get going and build a case for myself, that's what you need to do. And the only way you're going to do it as a striker is by scoring goals.
I'm going just get healthy. Right now, the way I'm looking at this team, the things that concern me the most are actually the injuries to some of our key players. And when I look ahead towards the Gold Cup, in order to get in good form and get that confidence, like you're saying with your club team, you got to be on the pitch. And that's what concerns me because I get nervous when I think about going into this Gold Cup tournament without our top guys, without time even in these games leading up to it, because this is still a work in progress. You know, Berhalter is still implementing the system. Tyler Adams has about 90 minutes in a position that is going to matter when we get to the Gold Cup. So that's the big thing for me is to get healthy.
I'm going to on the get healthy, I'll talk about Sebastian Lletget staying healthy. It feels like it's been a while since he's had a consistent run.
Oh, I would add Josie Altidore to that list too.
Yes. A consistent run of league games to show, because I've already mentioned how important I think Lletget can be to this team. The other part, Andrew, is center backs breaking lines with their passes, whether it's Walker Zimmerman, whether it's Aaron Long, which is tough because Red Bulls don't really play that way. But watching these center backs, John Anthony Brooks in Germany, consistently try and break lines with their passes, because that's a key part to the way Berhalter wants to play.
I'm going to look at the guys that are sort of in the spots of maybe 6 through 18 on the roster, the Roldans and Bairds and Areolas of the world. Good form, confidence, in a position when the Gold Cup comes that they feel ready to attack any role they get, whether it's a bit role, whether it's a starting role. Guys that are feeling it, that's going to matter when you hit that tournament play, and you have to turn it on like that. 1-1 against Chile tonight. 2 games here in this international break, a 1-0 win against Ecuador, and of course the draw tonight. He is still unbeaten as Greg Berhalter as U.S. national team coach. MLS Matchday Central coming up this weekend. It's not all U.S. club and country. Also, before we get out of here, I must mention congratulations to Canada. Gold Cup qualifiers, Nations League A qualifiers. 6 p.m. Eastern is the preview show on Sunday. We'll hit you up afterwards with a complete wrap of MLS Week 5. Myself, Calen Carr, and Matt Doyle. He's already excited about it. Look at him. Look at his face.
He's pumped.
So happy.
Go to sleep, everybody. It's that time. It's a school night. We'll see you later.